The silent arrival. The HSS Defiance materialized at the edge of Helios 7, the bustling star system that housed the Galactic Council's central headquarters. Unlike the flashy warp signatures of other species vessels, which announced their presence with distortions of light and radiation, the human ship simply appeared, as if it had always been there, watching. At 2 kilometers long, the Defiance wasn't the largest vessel in the galaxy. What made it remarkable was that no one had detected its approach. No warning buoys had activated. No deep space sensors had triggered. The most sophisticated detection grid in known space had failed to notice humanity's flagship until it chose to be seen. Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the command deck, her dark eyes reflecting the glow of tactical displays. After 20 years of commanding exploration vessels, this was different. This was humanity's statement to the stars. "Status report," she said, her voice calm despite the weight of her mission. Commander Jackson checked his console. "Stealth systems disengaged as ordered, Captain. We're visible to their sensors now. Defiance's presence has been noticed." On the main view screen, dozens of small vessels scrambled from nearby stations. Not an attack formation, more like startled insects when a light suddenly turns on. "Incoming transmission," announced Lieutenant Reyes from Communications. "Automated greeting from Galactic Council Security. There, requesting identification and purpose." A slight smile touched Vasquez's lips. "Requesting, not demanding. That's progress. They don't recognize our ship class or design," Jackson noted. "Intelligence was right. They haven't been monitoring our technological development at all." Vasquez nodded. "Reply with standard diplomatic protocols. Identify us as a human vessel on official business with the Council. Request docking clearance." The response came quickly. "Captain, they're connecting us to a tertiary diplomatic officer. They're classifying us as a developing civilization inquiry." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Earth had been formally discovered 70 years ago by Rigelian traders. Since then, humanity had been categorized as a pre-FTL curiosity, allowed minimal trade, denied council representation, and generally treated as galactic backwater primitives. The aliens didn't know that humans had been watching, learning, and developing technologies that operated on principles the council races hadn't even theorized. "Put them on screen," Vasquez ordered. A blue-skinned humanoid appeared, his elongated features arranged in what humans had learned was the Illurian equivalent of polite boredom. "Unregistered vessel, I am Undersecretary Corlin. Our records show no scheduled appointments from Earth representatives. If you wish to petition for increased trade quotas, I must inform you that all such requests must be filed through proper channels, which begin at your local sector outpost." "Undersecretary," Vasquez interrupted. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the human spaceship Defiance. I carry credentials and authorization from the United Earth Government to speak directly with the Senior Council regarding matters of galactic security and sovereignty." The Illurian blinked his triple eyelids rapidly. "I'm afraid that's quite impossible. Earth has no standing toe. We're not requesting permission, Undersecretary. We're extending courtesy by announcing our arrival. The Defiance will maintain position until the Senior Council acknowledges our communication." Vasquez out. The screen went dark. "That was direct," Jackson commented. 70 years of being ignored calls for directness," Vasquez replied. "Now we wait." They didn't wait long. Within minutes, the channel reopened, this time showing a flustered senior official. "This is High Secretary Tone. Your vessel's presence near Council headquarters without prior authorization is a violation of 17 different protocols. I must insist you withdraw to the Outer System Transit Zone immediately." Vasquez remained impassive. "High Secretary, with respect, those protocols apply to recognized member species. Earth has been denied membership for 7 decades despite multiple petitions. We're here to discuss that situation directly with the Senior Council." "That's not how things are done," Telm insisted, his tone growing sharper. Your civilization hasn't demonstrated the necessary technological achievements or cultural stability for council consideration. Now, please withdraw your vessel before. Before what? Vasquez asked quietly. Before you call the Orion Collective Defense Force. The alien's expression confirmed her suspicion. They're already on their way, aren't they? She continued. Good. That saves us the trouble of requesting their presence. This concerns them too. The transmission ended abruptly. Dr. Kai Chen, the ship's chief science officer, approached the command chair. They've activated their defense grid and called for military support. 6 Orion battlecruisers just transitioned from FTL at coordinates 227 Mark 35. Vasquez nodded. Right on time. Tactical analysis. Their vessels are powerful by Council standards. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz reported from tactical. Energy weapons, graviton-based shields, standard inertial dampers. Nothing we haven't seen before. And nothing that can penetrate our defenses, Jackson added. Vasquez stood, straightening her uniform. Let's not get overconfident. We're not here to start a war, just to ensure they understand that ignoring us is no longer an option. On the view screen, the approaching Orion vessels were impressive, sleek predatory designs with gleaming hulls that reflected the system's central star. The Orion Collective had been the dominant military power in this sector for millennia. Their technological supremacy was unquestioned by the Council races. A new transmission came through, a stern-faced Orion commander. His ridge-lined face, set in what humans had learned was an expression of severe disapproval. Unidentified Earth vessel, this is Commander Dravkosh of the Orion Defense Force. You have entered restricted space without authorization. Power down your systems and prepare to be escorted to an inspection station. Vasquez met his gaze calmly. Commander Dravkosh, we recognize your authority in Council space. However, we are here on a diplomatic mission that cannot be delayed. We request a direct channel to the Senior Council. The Orion's eyes narrowed. Humans do not dictate terms here. Your species barely understands basic starflight, whatever primitive vessel you've managed to construct. Primitive. Vasquez interrupted, allowing a slight edge to enter her voice. Commander, I suggest you review your sensor readings more carefully. A moment passed as the alien commander apparently received new information from his crew. His expression shifted subtly. Your hull composition is unusual, he admitted. Nevertheless, you will comply or face the consequences. Let me be clear, Commander, Vasquez said. We haven't come all this way to be dismissed again. The Council will meet with us, or we will demonstrate exactly how primitive our technology really is. The Orion's face darkened. Is that a threat, human? It's a statement of intent. We prefer peaceful resolution, but we're prepared for alternatives. The transmission cut off. They're taking up attack positions, Ortiz reported. Weapons powering up. Their lead vessel is targeting our propulsion systems. Vasquez returned to her chair. Defensive protocols only. No offensive measures unless I give the order. They're firing, Ortiz announced calmly. The bridge crew watched as brilliant energy beams streaked toward the Defiance, only to pass harmlessly through the human vessel as if it weren't there. Phase shift successful, Dr. Chen reported, studying his readouts. Their weapons can't interact with our matter while we're out of phase with normal spacetime. Commander Jackson's console beeped. Captain, we're receiving multiple hails from the Orion fleet, the Council station, and the Senior Council itself. Vasquez nodded. Now we have their attention. Put the Council through. The view screen changed to show a semicircle of alien faces, the 7 senior representatives of the Galactic Council's governing body. This is unprecedented, began the central figure, a tall, willowy being with crystalline features. A Solarian, one of the eldest council races. I am High Counselor Etherian. Your vessel has demonstrated technology that our experts are claiming should not be possible. And yet here we are, Vasquez replied. My name is Captain Elena Vasquez of Earth, and I bring a message from humanity. We will no longer be ignored. You must understand our position. Another counselor interjected, a reptilian draconis. New species must follow established protocols for integration into galactic society. It protects both you and established civilizations from cultural and technological disruption. We've followed your protocols for 70 years, Vasquez countered. We've submitted the required petitions, hosted your observers, restricted our development to your guidelines. And in return, we've been patronized, exploited for our resources, and kept isolated from galactic affairs that directly impact our future. The council members exchanged glances. Your arrival is unexpected, Etherian admitted. The reports we received about Earth's technological capabilities clearly underestimated your progress. They did, Vasquez agreed. Deliberately, I suspect. The Orion Collective has been extracting Earth resources at preferential rates for decades. Recognition of our advancement would have disrupted that arrangement. The Orion counselor bristled visibly but remained silent. What exactly does Earth want? Asked a fourth counselor, a being composed of what appeared to be living liquid metal. Recognition, representation, and renegotiation of all existing treaties between Earth and Council races, Vasquez stated firmly. We are prepared to demonstrate more of our technological capabilities if necessary to establish our standing. Are you threatening the Council? The Draconis demanded. No, Vasquez replied calmly. I'm informing you that the balance of power has shifted. Humanity will no longer accept second-class status in galactic affairs. We've been patient. That patience has limits. A tense silence followed. Finally, Etherian spoke. Captain Vasquez, the Council will convene an emergency session to discuss Earth's petition. In the meantime, your vessel will be permitted to dock at our diplomatic bay. A delegation may disembark for preliminary discussions. Vasquez nodded. Thank you, Counselor. We accept your offer. As the transmission ended, the bridge crew remained silent for a moment. They're scared, Jackson observed. As they should be, Vasquez replied, rising from her chair. Prepare a diplomatic team. And keep our phase shift technology on standby. The Orion Collective won't take this lying down. Captain, Dr. Chen called from his station. I'm detecting unusual communications between the Orion vessels. Encrypted, but our AI is breaking the pattern. They're planning something. Vasquez's expression hardened. Of course they are. The game has just begun, Doctor. The real question is whether they're wise enough to realize they've already lost. Outside the viewports, the massive Council station loomed against the backdrop of stars, a gleaming monument to a galactic order that was about to change forever. The HSS Defiance, humanity's harbinger, prepared to dock, bringing with it a message that would reverberate across the stars. Humanity had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Reckoning. The diplomatic bay of Helios Station glittered with artificial light, its vast crystalline architecture designed to impress and intimidate visiting delegations. Captain Elena Vasquez led her small team through the cavernous reception hall, aware of the hundreds of alien eyes tracking their every movement. They've assembled quite the welcoming committee, Commander Jackson muttered, noting the mix of diplomatic staff and security personnel lining their path. Dr. Kai Chen walked slightly behind them, his quantum tablet discreetly scanning the environment. Captain, he whispered, I'm detecting multiple surveillance fields. They're trying to analyze our technology. Vasquez nodded almost imperceptibly. Expected. Keep our countermeasures active. The human delegation was escorted to a smaller chamber, where representatives from the Council's diplomatic corps awaited. Conspicuously absent were any members of the senior council itself. Captain Vasquez began a tall Illyrian diplomat with forced cordiality. I am Chief Lazen Pale. The Council welcomes Earth's representatives and acknowledges your request for diplomatic discussions. However, the senior council is currently in emergency session regarding other matters and will be available eventually. Vasquez smiled thinly. Other matters. I see. In the meantime, Pale continued, we have prepared accommodations for your delegation. Your vessel will need to relocate to our visitor's dock for standard security protocols. My ship stays exactly where it is, Vasquez replied calmly. The alien's triple eyelids blinked rapidly. Captain, surely you understand our security concerns. An unregistered vessel of unknown capabilities. My ship remains where it is, Vasquez repeated, her tone leaving no room for negotiation. And I'm afraid these preliminary discussions are unsatisfactory. We came to speak with decision-makers, not intermediaries. She tapped her comm unit. Defiance, status report. Orion vessels are repositioning, Captain, came Lieutenant Commander Ortiz's voice. They formed a perimeter around the station. We're also detecting energy signatures consistent with weapons being brought online throughout the station's defensive grid. The Illyrian diplomat's complexion paled slightly. A standard security precaution, I assure you. Dr. Chen's tablet emitted a soft alert. He studied it briefly before leaning toward Vasquez. Captain, I've intercepted communications between Orion Command and their vessels. They're planning a synchronized strike against the Defiance in approximately 20 minutes. Vasquez's expression didn't change. Thank you, Doctor. She turned back to the increasingly uncomfortable diplomat. It seems your standard security precautions include planning an attack on my vessel. I'm afraid that terminates our diplomatic discussions. Captain, there must be some misunderstanding. There is no misunderstanding. Vasquez cut him off. The Orion Collective, with the Council's apparent blessing, is preparing to destroy a diplomatic vessel during peace talks. That tells me everything I need to know about how the Council truly views humanity. She tapped her comm again. Defiance, implement Protocol Omega. The diplomatic team is returning immediately. The diplomats' protests faded as the human delegation turned and walked briskly back toward their shuttle. Security personnel moved to intercept them, but stepped back when their weapons mysteriously deactivated in their hands. A simple electromagnetic pulse, Dr. Chen explained casually as they passed. Don't worry, the effect is temporary. Back aboard their shuttle, Commander Jackson piloted them swiftly toward the Defiance, which hung in space like a dark sentinel against the stars, its hull absorbing rather than reflecting the light of Helios 7. They really were going to attack us, Jackson said, shaking his head. After all our preparations to establish peaceful contact. They're afraid, Vasquez replied. Fear makes intelligent beings do stupid things. As they approached the Defiance, Dr. Chen studied his readings with growing concern. Captain, the Orion vessels have accelerated their timeline. Energy signatures indicate weapon systems charging. They're going to attack in approximately 2 minutes. Vasquez nodded. They saw us leaving and decided to strike before we could return to our ship. Predictable. She activated the shuttle's comm system. Defiance, this is Captain Vasquez. Execute Defense Protocol Alpha. Do not return fire unless directly ordered. The instant their shuttle docked, Vasquez and her team rushed to the bridge. Lieutenant Commander Ortiz vacated the captain's chair as they arrived. Status, Vasquez demanded, taking her seat. Orion fleet has taken up attack formation, Ortiz reported. Station weapons are also targeting us. We're detecting targeting locks from multiple vectors. Phase shift status. Ready on your command, Captain, reported the tactical officer. The view screen showed the Orion vessels moving into position, a classic encirclement pattern designed to prevent escape. Their sleek, predatory forms gleamed with activated weapon ports. Incoming transmission, Lieutenant Reyes announced. Let's hear what excuse they've come up with, Vasquez said. Commander Dravkosh's stern face appeared. Human vessel, our sensors have detected dangerous power fluctuations in your propulsion systems. For the safety of the station, we must insist you power down immediately and submit to emergency protocols. How convenient, Vasquez replied. Commander, we both know what you're doing. I suggest you reconsider. The Orion's expression hardened. You have 30 seconds to comply before we are forced to take action. The transmission cut off. They're really going to do this, Jackson said quietly. Vasquez's eyes narrowed. Yes, they are. And they're about to learn a very important lesson about humanity. She turned to tactical. Engage phase shift in 20 seconds. Limited duration, just enough to survive their initial barrage. The bridge crew worked with calm efficiency as the countdown proceeded. On the view screen, the Orion vessel's weapon ports glowed with gathering energy. Phase shift engaged, announced the tactical officer as the 30-second ultimatum expired. The Orion fleet fired simultaneously, a devastating barrage of energy weapons designed to cripple or destroy the human vessel in a single coordinated strike. The beams converged on the Defiance's position and passed harmlessly through it, continuing into empty space beyond. Phase shift successful, Dr. Chen reported. Their weapons cannot interact with our matter while we're out of phase. Disengage phase shift, Vasquez ordered. Power up our demonstration package. The Defiance shimmered back into normal space, appearing completely undamaged despite the massive energy barrage it had just endured. They're preparing to fire again, Ortiz reported. Let them, Vasquez said calmly. Demonstration package ready? Yes, Captain. Execute. From the Defiance, invisible waves of energy pulsed outward in all directions. Across the Orion fleet, vessels suddenly went dark. Weapons, engines, shields, and even life support systems shutting down simultaneously. The mighty warships drifted lifelessly in space, disabled but not destroyed. On the Council station, similar effects rippled through section after section as defense systems failed and power grids collapsed. Emergency lighting flickered on as backup systems struggled to compensate. Selective quantum field manipulation complete, Dr. Chen announced, studying his readings. All targeted systems successfully disrupted. Minimal impact on life support and essential services, as specified. Vasquez nodded. Open a channel to the station. All frequencies. When the connection established, she spoke clearly and firmly. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the HSS Defiance. What you have just witnessed is a small demonstration of humanity's technological capabilities. We have temporarily disabled your offensive systems while leaving life support and essential services intact. She paused to let her words sink in. For decades, the Council races have dismissed humanity as primitive and unworthy of recognition. You've exploited our resources while denying us representation. Today, that arrangement ends. The view screen suddenly activated, showing the senior council chamber. The 7 councilors appeared shaken, their normally composed demeanors cracked by the demonstration of power they had just witnessed. Captain Vasquez, High Councilor Etherian, spoke, his crystalline features catching the emergency lights. Your point has been made forcefully. The Council acknowledges humanity's advancement. Acknowledgement isn't enough, Vasquez replied. We require action, full diplomatic recognition, Council representation, and immediate renegotiation of all existing treaties between Earth and Council races. Such processes take time, another councilor protested weakly. You have 12 hours, Vasquez stated flatly. After that, we will restore power to your vessels and depart. What happens next will depend entirely on your decision. She gestured to Lieutenant Reyes, who cut the transmission. 12 hours is not much time for galactic diplomacy, Commander Jackson observed. They've had 70 years, Vasquez replied. Besides, nothing motivates political action like a power outage. The next 12 hours passed in tense but productive negotiation. With their military advantage neutralized and their station operating on emergency power, the Council found unprecedented motivation to address humanity's concerns. Captain Vasquez, now joined by the diplomatic team that had remained hidden aboard the Defiance, presented Earth's terms clearly. Immediate recognition as a sovereign power, a seat on the Council, and fair trade agreements to replace the exploitative contracts the Orion Collective had imposed. When the deadline approached, Vasquez stood once more before the senior council, this time as an equal, not a petitioner. "The council accepts your terms," High Counselor Etherian announced formally. "Earth will be granted full diplomatic recognition and provisional council membership, pending ratification by your government." "And the Orion Collective?" Vasquez asked, looking pointedly at the Orion counselor who had remained suspiciously silent throughout the negotiations. "Will honor all newly established agreements," the Orion representative stated stiffly, "and wishes to apologize for any misunderstandings regarding previous arrangements." Vasquez nodded. "Then we have an accord. As promised, full power will be restored to your vessels and station immediately." As if on cue, the station's main lighting systems reactivated. Across the Orion fleet, systems came back online one by one. "A gesture of good faith," Vasquez explained. "The first of many between our peoples, I hope." After the formal proceedings concluded, Commander Jackson joined Vasquez in a quiet observation lounge overlooking the station's central hub. "Not bad for a day's work," he said, watching alien diplomats and officials scrambling to adapt to the new reality. From galactic nobodies to council members in under 24 hours. "This was just the beginning," Vasquez replied, her gaze fixed on the stars beyond. "The hard part comes next, proving we deserve the seat we just took." "You think they'll try something once we're gone?" Vasquez smiled slightly. "Of course they will. That's why we're not going far. The Defiance will remain in council space as Earth's diplomatic presence until formal relations are established. And we won't be alone for long." She tapped her comm unit. "Dr. Chen, status of our communication." "Message sent and received, Captain," came the scientist's voice. "The rest of the fleet acknowledges and will begin staggered arrival over the next 72 hours. Jackson's eyebrows rose. "The rest of the fleet? I thought we were the only ship with phase shift capability." "A necessary deception," Vasquez explained. "The Council needed to believe we were a single exceptional vessel, not the vanguard of a fleet. It made our diplomatic position stronger. And when the other ships arrive, then the real negotiations begin," Vasquez said. "Not just for Earth, but for every species the Council has marginalized over the centuries. This isn't about human supremacy, Commander. It's about balance, ensuring no single group can dominate galactic affairs through technological or military advantage." Below them, alien diplomats hurried through the concourse, many casting nervous glances toward the humans observing from above. News of Earth's dramatic arrival and the subsequent concessions was spreading rapidly throughout the station. "They're afraid of us now," Jackson noted. "Fear is a beginning, not an end," Vasquez replied. "They feared us, so they listened. Now they'll respect us, and we can talk as equals." She turned from the viewport. "Humanity's journey among the stars was never going to be easy, Commander. But after today, no one will ever make the mistake of underestimating us again." As if to emphasize her words, the HSS Defiance hung visible through the station's massive viewport, a silent reminder of humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. Its dark hull absorbed the light of alien stars, mysterious and powerful. Across the galaxy, other human vessels were already in motion, converging on Helios 7 to join their flagship. After generations of being ignored, humanity had announced its presence in terms no one could dismiss. The message was clear to every civilization watching. The age of human subservience was over. A new era had begun, one where humanity would forge its own destiny among the stars, not as supplicants or primitives, but as equals. And woe to any who tried to stand in their way.